trees sing, dark, dark, dark. Each blade of grass, telling it should grow.
The monitor's on the brink right here. This is too loud.
We actually don't need as much volume on stage as we're getting right now.
Shall I start with nothing then? Right.
One, two,
Let's
two.
have the ukulele. Okay. Still as bad as it was.
A little bit of gaffer
I sent the record to Barry. I just got this email back on high-flying donkeys, man.
It's just a miss here. I thought that's what you were saying.
Who said that? Barry emailed me. He's like, first thing he zeroed in on the whole album was like high-flying donkeys.
It's Goya.
What? It is Goya.
Our kind of take on what punk meant was about things like to do with musicianship being a barrier to being able to do anything. We felt that wasn't an issue. We also So we felt that musicianship shouldn't be a barrier to being able to do anything. We also were interested in sort of ideas about the role and status of the performer in relation to the audience, and trying to sort of basically break down all those barriers. So for us, with okay, here we go again.
When the dropout, he sings one line of the Twisted Trees sing, dark, 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 and then it goes, vroom, the Twisted Trees sing. Everyone's back in then.
Doesn't he sing it twice?
Yes, he does sing it twice. So let's do it like donkeys.
We all spread our wings for the man who had to know. Far down the road, dark, dark, dark. Far down the road, dark, dark, dark. Far down the road, dark, dark,
An instrument which, the name of which I do not recall. A trumbus, perhaps. A broad trumbus.
And this is a jumbush. It's from Istanbul, Turkey. Played mostly by the Romans, otherwise known as gypsies. And it's the cheapest instrument. I built the neck. This is their bit, this is my bit. I spent 3 days making a lot of mess to make this. This is the bass version of the instrument on Dark, Dark, Dark. And yeah, it's kind of interesting. You can bow it, you can pluck it, you can hit it. It's a drum, you can wash your socks in it. Everything's possible with a jumbush. I recommend one.
The art student's predilection for music making, listening to music, participating in music is phenomenal. And that's not just a Leeds thing, I think it's national.
You know, by the end of the first year, after a load of kind of boring modernists, you know, indoctrination, it was just like, let's go off and be in a band.
Many students who made music or participated in music making did so out of a lack of confidence or a self-perceived lack of ability in the visual arts. It's very difficult for students to come on a liberal fine art course and say, make some art. I don't know what art is. What does art look like? How do I know I'm doing it well?
That was brilliant. Sitting in art school, I'm sitting there, I'm drawing, and a guy was like being a second year in high school or something, being told off in lectures for not concentrating because I was doodling, I wasn't very interested in art school when I first got there. I was really disappointed. I thought it was boring.
Yeah, they came and found me in, who was that prof? Tim Clark. Yeah. And he was going, he put his head round the studio door and saw that I was in there working, and then shouted back to everybody else, and he said, over here, I found one. So they all trooped in, and I said, what do you mean you found one? I'm in here every day. Where have you been? So I did, I used to work quite hard in the studio while everybody else was in a band. Although I was in a band, wasn't I? I've forgotten that as well. Yeah.
We're talking about the inclusive, liberal approach of activity. In other words, anything can be fine art. Someone called Andy Wood says to me on the interview, well, can I play with my band for my degree? Is playing in a band fine art? And I was forced into the position of saying, well, if you say everything's in, it's got to be in.
Being fine artists was first and foremost, really, and the music was an offshoot of that. It was an offshoot of the sort of the attitude and philosophies we had from a fine art background. I mean, but we used to get told off. We got taken into the head of department's office, a lot of us one day, and told off for being in bands and wasting our time and not painting pictures.
That kind of go into that fine art studio and make art. But not, we don't want painting and drawing. We want, sort of Robin Page, Nuttall-esque, well, just call it, if you want, anarchic, petit bourgeois anarchic, that stupidity.
So shall I just start rambling, do you think? Because I'm going to be yearning for rambling anyway, and those rambles in the airy uplands of the Pennines or the Lake District when one quits the city for those rustic Arcadias, and as one's strolling high in tranquility, one frequently hears this roar of jet engines, and as the warplane races above you, and in fact you hear the sound fractionally after you've caught a glimpse of the speeding machine. And of course the tragedy is, or perhaps the paradox is, that we think we're on the front line in the city, but it's the countryside, the uplands that are the front line, as these great, wondrous monsters rehearse speedily for Armageddon.
I always think of when I don't have to play guitar on this, great. Shall I get up and dance like Donny Osmond?
There's a huge space here that's reserved for disco dances. Single volunteers are welcome. No more than one.
The loss and grumble, far off the road and far from home I ramble. A hornet's nest lies on the track, its half-formed larvae scattered. A worker's cottage broken down and left a shambles. I ramble. Leave the past struggle alone upon the ridge I ramble. Back to the wind face wet with rain above the fields of